President Biden's big push for his so-called human infrastructure plan. He was on the Hill today meeting with key senators trying to gain support for the Democrats' massive $3.5 trillion budget proposal. But he also wants to keep the bipartisan infrastructure deal intact. Democrats are hoping to use Vice President Kamala Harris as a tiebreaker to pass this budget spending agreement, but it won't be easy. Faith Abubey has the details.
Democrats on the Senate Budget Committee announcing late Tuesday they've reached an agreement on a massive $3.5 trillion plan to, among other things, address climate change, expand Medicare, and help struggling families for the next decade.
Every major program that President Biden has asked for is funded in a robust way.
The Democrats acknowledging there's still a long road ahead. The plan is to pass the multi-trillion-dollar spending agreement in the Senate using a budgetary tool called reconciliation that requires only 50 votes.
It is transformational, and frankly, it is exciting.
But it's unclear whether the plan has the full backing of moderate and progressive Democrats. The $3.5 trillion agreement is far less than the $6 trillion proposal Senator Bernie Sanders had put on the table.
There are 50 Democrats in the caucus, and I suspect there are 50 different points of view.
The Democrats say the spending agreement is fully paid for, though no details have been made available. President Biden pushing for taxing wealthy Americans making more than $400,000 a year and corporations to fund his spending priorities. Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell promising a showdown.
Liberal policies are overspending, overborrowing, and hurting our economy.
The reconciliation plan would accompany the much leaner bipartisan bill, which includes traditional infrastructure like roads and bridges. Democrats are trying to pass both through Congress as twin bills, a delicate balance that could risk losing vital GOP support. That bipartisan bill could be introduced this Friday.
I make no illusions how challenging this is going to be.
And President Biden is also trying to get some buy-in from local officials. He's meeting today with a bipartisan group of governors and mayors to try to detail the importance of his plan. Diane, Kira.
Right, Faith Abubey in Washington for us. Thank you, Faith. And let's bring in ABC News Deputy Political Director Avery Harper for more on this and other Washington news of the day, because there is a lot going on in Washington today. Avery, thanks for being here. What does this budget mean for Biden's agenda, and can they pass it without any Republican support?
Well, this spending plan would be passed via budget reconciliation, which means that Democrats could essentially go it alone without Republican support. All they need to do is make sure that they have all the Democrats on board. Now, it remains to be seen if some of the more moderate Democrats, folks like Joe Manchin, will be on board with this. But if it were to pass, it means that there's lots of money that gets to go to what the president has called human infrastructure, a lot of progressive legislative priorities, funding initiatives like climate change, pre-K, investing in education, family leave, all sorts of things would be included in this plan.
And Senate Democrats are also proposing this end to federal prohibition of marijuana. But even if the measure passes, marijuana would still be illegal on the state level in over half the country. So what realistic impact could this have? And is there enough political will to make it happen?
Well, this plan is really about restorative justice. The tax revenue that would be garnered from the sale of marijuana, should this be passed, would be reinvested in communities that were deeply impacted by the war on drugs. And so that is an impact that it will have. And it also expunges the nonviolent offense it expunges the nonviolent offenders, their crimes. And so it also allows them to petition the court for resentencing.
Now, the bill will also expunge some federal nonviolent marijuana crimes. It's reinvesting federal tax revenue into minority communities affected by the war on drugs. What does this mean for people serving time for those crimes right now? Would they be released no matter where that time is being served?
Right. Well, it is definitely something that they're going to have to petition the court for. Like I said before, if they are in jail or in federal prison right now for nonviolent marijuana offenses, they'll be able to petition the court for resentencing. And the aim is to get those folks out of prison.
Now, Avery, yesterday President Biden addressed the nation to condemn Republican election bills sweeping the country, saying they're all fueled by false claims that the 2020 election was stolen, despite no evidence to support that. Listen.
Significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. They want to make it so hard and inconvenient that they hope people don't vote at all. The 2020 election was the most scrutinized election ever in American history. The big lie is just that, a big lie.
Meanwhile, Democratic lawmakers that left Texas in an effort to block an election bill there are meeting with key senators like Joe Manchin, hoping to persuade him to end the filibuster so they can get federal voting rights legislation passed without any Republican support. Now, Manchin so far has been adamantly opposed to that. President Biden didn't even mention it in his speech. So is there a realistic path for these federal bills right now?
Well, I do want to go back to Biden's speech yesterday. We saw him call the lies about the election and the trend for restrictive voting legislation. We saw him call it unpatriotic, un-American, autocratic. And so even though he didn't mention the filibuster, Biden doesn't have a say in whether the filibuster gets eliminated. Now, he is a longtime senator and someone who has been wary of eliminating that parliamentary procedure. But the fact is he doesn't really get a say in that. It really requires all Democrats to be in lockstep on it. And you mentioned Senator Joe Manchin, but there's also Senator Kristen Sinema, who has been vehemently opposed to eliminating the filibuster. So for right now, that federal election reform, those legislation, those bills that we see that have been stalled in the Senate, there's really a really uphill battle for them to be passed because they need support of Republicans, and it's been blocked so far by Republican opposition.
All right, ABC News Deputy Political Director Avery Harper. Avery, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.